Good evening. My name is William Lafferty, and I'm here to answer some questions that you have about fire code enforcement here in the state of North Carolina. One of the first questions asked was, how are fire codes enforced? Here in the state of North Carolina, fire codes are enforced by an inspector who is certified through the North Carolina state. Another question, how are these codes applied to new and existing occupancies? These codes are specific to a maintenance code for existing occupancies, and there really is no specific code, if I'm not mistaken, to new construction. There is no, I guess, fire code from my understanding. It's in old construction, it's a maintenance code, and then there's a fire code for new construction. Another question that was posed to me, what local organizations determine the fire resistance of buildings? There's a model code in North Carolina developed by ICC. The Department of Insurance developed the codes and add amendments to the ICC, which is then adopted in North Carolina and maintained or enforced by North Carolina's fire marshals. Another question, what types of tests are used to determine fire ratings of materials? Testing is done by firewall barriers and the such. They have a UL listing, and that's what is used here in the state of North Carolina. How do fire ratings apply to inspection and code enforcement? So application for fire marshal is to ensure the integrity of the material is maintained and tested annually. So there's an annual testing of the materials within the structure. The next question I had, what are some characteristics of unsafe structures in our area? So of course, older buildings, a lot of pre-World War I buildings exist in our area of North Carolina, in the downtown area. I live currently in the Fuquay, Varina area, and I spoke with the fire marshal of our area in the local fire department. And he said that there's still a lot of buildings that predate World War I even. And these are some of the ones that are more concerning to the fire department here in our local area. Another question, what type of buildings poses the greatest hazard for potential configuration and fire spread in our area? The biggest structural part of buildings are those with trusses, either in the floor or ceiling. These trusses are wooden and usually found in single-story homes. An interesting thing that I found from talking with the fire marshal here was that even metal can lose its tensile strength and it can cause a collapse. Between 1,000 and 1,100 degrees is when metal structures can lose their tensile strength. And when they lose that tensile strength, of course, it expands outwardly, and that can cause the structure to collapse in on itself. And so that's one of the most hazardous buildings due to their configuration. And one of the last questions was, how does plans reviewed in structural control improve the safety of unsafe structures in our area? The plans review and structural controls work in conjunction with each other, and they see that the codes are being implemented in the design stage of new buildings and new construction. So they work hand in hand with each other to help see that these codes are enforced from the beginning, and then of course throughout the life of the structure. codes are enforced through inspections. Materials, like we said earlier, have annual inspections. So that's how they really work in conjunction. And it's just really important for the overall safety of our communities to really invest in the money and time and resources at the very beginning of the planning stage, through the design and through the construction of the buildings, and then to go back and inspect older buildings to ensure that they stand up to the structural integrity is still intact, and to ensure that everything's up to code and up to speed in order to keep our occupants in these various structures safe.